Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 27 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. I am Brent Coley, your host, and joining me today, I am privileged to have Railene Flores and Cassie Lira. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
And for those of you listening, if you have listened to episodes before, I have had as guests, every time we have somebody on and we share stories about our experience in education, I have had teachers on, I've had administrators, assistant principals, we've even had my superintendent on. And there was one voice, there's a couple voices that I have been wanting to have on, and that is the parent perspective. So that's what, Railene and Cassie, I want to talk today about from a parent's view. The purpose of the podcast is hopefully for anyone listening to be encouraged or inspired to pursue excellence, which is our school's theme, to get better, to try something new, to make themselves better educators. And we've had 26 episodes from teachers, superintendents about, hey, this is what I do, or this is what I have done, but I want to hear it from parents, from you guys. So I asked you guys, and thank you for being willing to come in.
Yes.
And because you guys both have kids at the school, have for a while. And for anyone listening, I'm talking to our current PTA president and a former PTA president who rock our school. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Publicly for the world, for my mom and dad who are listening right now. If no one else, my mom and dad now know that you guys are amazing. But as we were talking before we hit record, I was wondering if you guys had stories of kind of answering the question, what do your kids like about school? Why do your kids want to come to school? Hopefully they do want to come to school.
Yes, they do.
Maybe not every day, but that's true for teachers and principals sometimes. We'd rather sleep in. But why do they love Alta Murrieta, our school? What about the school? Because that's what we want. I can think talk till I'm blue in the face about what I think makes a good school or makes a good teacher or makes a good principal, but you and your students are the ones that matter. What I think doesn't matter if it doesn't mesh with what you guys think. So Railene, did you want to start?
My kids like coming to school because, for one, they love their teachers. I was lucky enough to attend Alta back when it first opened, and I'm lucky enough that some of the teachers, I don't want to age anyone, but some of the teachers are still present here, which for me is very comforting, knowing that they're comfortable enough and the school isn't enough for them, they stay that long. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of teacher turnaround, which is huge because it allows the kids to make a good connection with their teachers and go back to see them when they need that extra bit of love that maybe they're a little nervous to get from their new teacher. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like.
I love you.
And my kids like that too.
There's nothing better than, as a former classroom teacher, the first day of school or the second day of school having your previous year's kids come back.
Yeah, and my kids love to go back and say hi. And my daughter, I have two here, and a son and a daughter here, and two at Warm Springs.
Which is the middle school in our district.
Which is the middle school, yes. Mm-hmm. And my current 6th grader, when she was in 3rd grade, she struggled a lot. She struggled with reading, language arts, she had speech, and they decided to get an IEP going for her, and she started to go with a teacher who made a huge difference. She was able to pull the confidence out in Riley that she had been lacking, and made this connection with her that I couldn't even make with her on an educational level. Mm-hmm. She would go to her before she'd come to me sometimes about what was going on with school. Her biggest goal was to finish System 44. And unfortunately, the teacher that she had made the connection with moved on to newer opportunities in another site. But when the second thing she did, first I was lucky enough to be here, she finished it. She ran up to me and says, "Mom, I finally finished." And then her second statement to me was, "We need to email her and tell her I finished." Because
email the other teacher.
The other teacher who had made that connection with her, because she wanted to share with her, like, "Hey, I did it." And so she emailed her. We let her know. That teacher has then came back to Alta, to hug her, congratulate her, bring her a special treat, just to let her know that, hey, even though I've left, I still care. And then that allows her to know, hey, they still care even though they're not here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's huge, and she still talks about her every day when she makes these huge accomplishments. We got to email her and let her know. And
3 years later.
3 years later. And so she has her email. She has her email in her personal cell phone, so she can email and talk to her and continue on with her.
That's awesome.
So,
and that's an example of, in some of the previous episodes, we talk about sharing stories of that we won't always see the fruits of our labor. That I think the quote, for anyone listening, and every day in our staff lounge, I have as you ladies have seen, we have a quote of just kind of inspirational messages and things like that to hopefully encourage the staff. And yesterday was about seeds. It was about, like, we need to treat students like they're seeds that we're planting, and especially in education, elementary education, we won't always see the blooming of that flower. In terms of, as we plant it, we water it, we fertilize it, we give it all the love that it needs, and then like you said, the teacher moves on to another site, moves or retires or something like that. But 3 years later, 13 years later, whatever it is later, she still
wants to communicate with her.
And gosh, and there is no greater compliment to a teacher than that. That is, who was that?
Kim Kuhn.
Kim Kuhn. So Mrs. Kuhn, if you are listening,
Yes.
shout out to you. So, and I would concur. She put her heart and soul into, and she still does, doing it for other kids at different site now. So that is fantastic. Cassie, did you have?
I don't know.
story?
Railene kind of just.
Did she take your answer?
I completely agree with what she was saying. I too went to this school since 1990, and I still see my old teachers here. And I think it's the school, the atmosphere of the school, and the way the teachers are with the students. Like, student is own individual, and I just love that. I've always loved this school, and my kids are here now, and I just love that. And like, for instance, with Roger, he was very close with my dad, very close with his grandpa, and when he passed away, he was in first grade, and it was very hard on Roger. It started affecting his academics and his self-conscious, his confidence, everything. It was just really messing him up, and his teacher came to me and told me we might need to keep him back a level, and no parent wants to hear that.
Nope.
But having the meeting and seeing the work, I completely agreed, and it's the best decision I made, was to keep him back. And he had Miss Piovarsik.
Well, shout out Miss Piovarsik.
And she was so wonderful with him. I mean, right away off the bat with him and his confidence, you can see it was growing again. He was getting back into school. He wanted to come to school, and he loved being in her class. And it was just amazing seeing his face light up. That was great to see that, especially after all that happened.
That's awesome.
That was a big thing.
Well, and in talking with what I hear you saying now, and before we started recording, many of the things that you just shared and have shared earlier on, it's not, well, this teacher has the best instructional strategy. Not to downplay the importance of instructional strategies and good pedagogy and things like that, because we want our teachers to be good teachers.
Yes.
But the quote on the board today is one of the, I just saw it the other day, and it's like one of my already favorites. It's that for those unresponsive students, you may not be able to teach them today, but you can love them. And if you can love them today, maybe you can teach them tomorrow. And it all starts with relationships. And for Roger, I mean, he established a relationship with his teacher that when a hard time outside of school came around, he was able to lean on not only you and the rest of his family, but his teacher in terms of making it a fun place, a safe place, where he wanted to be. You had shared before about...
Okay, yes. my nephew, who also attends here, we're very family oriented, and I have 2 other nephews that also come here. He's huge into football, loves football. Football is his life. And when he was going into 5th grade, he wanted the 5th grade teacher, Mr. Walton, because he played intramural football. And so he thought if he got him, he got to play football all day, and that was all that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, he came in, and by the second day, his whole outlook on coming to school had changed, which he loved school before. But now he loved school, but now he's also enjoying school, which is different. Like, you can come to school, like it, love it, but once you enjoy it, there's a huge difference. And so he came home and told his Mom, this is going to be my best year ever. I can't wait to go to school. I got a lot of things coming on. It's a big year for me. I got to really stay focused and do well. And even at football practice, he was struggling a little bit, couldn't get his head in the game. And when his parents asked him why, his response was, well, I have a lot going on at school, and I got to stay focused. That's got to be my number one now. Mm-hmm. So the connection that even he made with Mr. Walton, which he thought was going to be all about football, he was able to turn it around and get him to enjoy the educational part along with the football, and made that connection with him. And
we are recording this for anyone listening on day 5 of the school year. So this is we're not 100 days in to us. We just finished the 5th day of school. There's 175 more to go. So in 5 days, there's already been a relationship established. Yeah, he probably hoped he could play football all day, every day, and that's not the reality. But I mean, I'm hearing you say this. He doesn't want to let Mr. Walton down.
No, not at all.
That's what I'm hearing, and I think I've shared the story before. I mean, I had a professor in college, Dr. Guillaume, and I've shared this in a previous episode where she taught one of my statistics classes in my master's class. Mm-hmm. Statistics. Yikes. Yeah. I mean, it was a hard class, and she was such a good teacher. She taught me well. I only missed a couple points in the whole class, and I say that not like, wow, good for you, Brent, because it wasn't me. It was her. But I say that I share this story because at the end of the semester, I had the option of not taking the final. I could have gotten an A in the class without taking the final. Mm-hmm. But I took the final. Okay. Because if I didn't, in my mind, I was going to let her down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I didn't want her to think I was taking the easy way out. And at this point, I'm not as old as I am now, but I wasn't a kid. I mean, I was probably 30 years old or so. Okay. So even at that level, it was still, I don't want to let her down. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to let Mr. Walton down, and I'm sure Mr. Walton hasn't said, don't let me down. No. He doesn't have to say that. No. So
he's able to make that connection without telling him.
And it's that connection. I'm thinking back to my daughter when she was in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. She had one teacher, and I do not exaggerate when I say every single night at the dinner table, it was, guess what Mrs. So-and-so did? Guess what Mrs. So-and-so? Every single night. Mm-hmm. She told this joke. She showed this video. She did this lesson. And most of the time it wasn't that we did this great lesson. Mm-hmm. It was the teacher. Yep. She loved the teacher. Mm-hmm. And because she loved the teacher, she excelled in the content that the teacher was. She was a good teacher as well, but Rita Pearson is a former teacher who said famously, kids don't learn from people they don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, I'm sure. I mean, you can, both of you and I, we can think of teachers we had growing up that we didn't like, and you think of the ones you did like, and we're not going to mention names of the ones we didn't. But you think we probably did not. Probably we did not learn as much from those people as from those that you did like.
Well, no, because we didn't want to be there. Right. It was okay. It's 8:00. Let 3:00 come. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Just do what I got to do to get by, and let's go. But now the kids are looking at it as they don't want the day to end.
Yeah.
They're coming into the class, and oh my gosh, it's already lunch. Oh, it's already time to go home. Like, they're not even realizing everything that they're soaking in and learning.
Right.
Because they're taking it in and just enjoying every minute of it.
My kids have loved every single one of their teachers here.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had a problem.
Awesome.
Never. Nothing ever negative. They love their teachers.
And putting you on, I mean, you've kind of touched on that. And for anyone listening, I told the ladies before, this is not a fishing for compliments episode.
No.
That's not what this is. It's like,
not at all.
but,
honest.
but from a parent's view, again, we want to know, why do your kids why you say they want to come to school? I mean, can you, and you've said that there's been connections that that they have made, but as a school in general. So if a principal is listening to this right now, what, as a school, and I've only been here, this is starting my 5th year. We had Mr. P was here for 10 years, well, as a principal. He was here a long time before that. So this was a great school long before I arrived. I've just tried not to screw it up. What would you say for a principal listening? Like, what goes on here? What was going on? Again, I don't want to say like, what great things am I? That's not what I'm wanting. What was going on before even I got here that makes Alta? Because it is. I've been at a lot of different schools, and the very first time, so I'm kind of answering my own question. The very first time I walked in our office ladies, I'll put them against anybody because they are just the nicest people that you will ever meet. So my very first experience was, wow, this is welcoming. But what would you say? What is it about our school? So if a principal is listening, they could say, I want to try to make our school like that.
I think a lot has to do with Alta's a very family-oriented school. And they pretty much welcome everyone in with open arms. And no matter if you're a parent, a PTA volunteer, a student, everyone at the school, either you're in their class, you're not in the class, you're just wandering, everyone's approachable. No one puts off that persona, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm better than you. Everyone is pretty much at the same level here, and everyone's approachable. It's not like Mr. Coley comes in a suit and tie every single day, and you better make an appointment because his door is always closed. You can walk by his door, and even if he's on the phone, and I'm not just giving him compliments, I'm talking to him, he will make it a point to wave, even if he's on the phone, to say, acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you're here. And no one is ever above anyone. Everyone's, for me, the main thing is everyone's approachable, and everyone's welcoming here.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, because
that's...
I agree 100%.
Yeah, well, because... Yeah. That's... If a teacher is listening, maybe a new teacher who is just starting or is in their credential program, from a parent perspective, or from when you were a student, if you could say, like, make sure you do blank. We didn't prep for this or anything, but I'm just thinking, like, what advice would you give to any teacher listening? But particularly, I'm thinking somebody who maybe they're just getting started. What would you, I mean, like, make sure that you...
Care. Make sure you care. I mean, if you don't care about your job, you care about the kids, you're not going to enjoy it. And every one of these teachers here care. They do. They all care.
And kids are smart.
Yeah, kids know when they're liked and when they're not liked. They can, I mean, whether a teacher anyone that doesn't want to say they don't like that student, you can feel it. Your body actions, I mean, just the looks, everything.
Yeah.
The kids know.
Well, and if you don't, and I'm even thinking, kids can tell when the teacher loves what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And when the teacher loves what they're doing and is passionate, I remember once it was a math problem, and this was a couple of years. I was a brand new teacher, and I was doing a math, and I was like getting excited about the math. And a kid says, like, "Oh, here he goes again. He's getting excited." And I remember that because it's like I kind of laughed when he did it, but in thinking back on that, it's like, thank you. That's a compliment. I mean,
it is.
He's getting excited about doing fractions or whatever it is, because, and I don't care if they laugh at me.
Yeah.
If I'm excited, it will.
They're going to get excited.
It will at least make the chances better that they will get excited. And the teachers, my best teacher, I'm thinking back to my 4th grade teacher. I remember Mrs. Olson was her name. I remember what the classroom looked like. I remember just everything about the room. I remember nothing about what I learned. But I remember how she made me feel. I remember that she cared.
Yeah.
She loved what she did. And that's not to say I didn't learn anything, but it's like, I think it just goes to show that 35, 40 years later, it's not that she taught me the capital of California is Sacramento. It's the fun things that she did. And
But that goes back to she cared, and you may not remember what you learned, but in reality, it's set in.
Yeah.
But you liked her so much that you didn't realize you were learning because she cared about her job.
Yeah.
So you learned a fun way.
Yeah. I saw another quote that's going to go on our board soon. It's something along the lines of, when learning and fun become indistinguishable, we win. I mean, it's you trick the kids into, you don't even realize that you're learning. And I don't want for anyone listening, I mean, this in no way are the three of us, and me in particular as the principal of the school, downplaying the importance of standards.
Oh, not at
all. And strong instruction and pedagogy, and I mean, because you have to have that. Because I'm sure you've had too. Oh, he's a great guy. She's a great gal. She's a nice person.
But
Wasn't a good teacher. I mean, I've had those where it's like they were great people, but they weren't good teachers. I mean, I didn't learn a lot from them, and I think kids can tell that too. They can tell when the teacher's prepared.
Yep.
When the teacher is unprepared. So, anything to add, Cassie? Railene took all the good answers.
Sorry.
No, that's
all right. You should hear in the PTA room. No, I think, well, for the times I volunteered in classrooms, when they make it like a team thing, a whole group thing, and they make it fun, I like that way of learning. Because I sit there and I start learning, like, oh, okay, and I get into it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I go home and my kids are so bright. They know so much, so I know the teachers are doing something right here, you know? Not only with the caring, but just the caring is a big importance, of course.
It's where you start.
Yeah,
it's a foundation, but it's not the only thing.
They're paying attention.
Yeah.
My kids are paying attention and they're learning. So, I mean,
well, and I think you're talking about, I mean, one of the shifts that we're trying to do, and as teachers all over the country and world, it's trying to move away from the teacher stands in front of the class and is the only one doing the talking. Be quiet and listen to me, because I'm going to teach you, and you better listen.
Involve everyone.
Yeah, and so often now, as you both have worked in the classrooms as well, you're seeing a lot more of the turn to your neighbor, talk to your neighbor. It's almost like, and I'm telling the teachers now, 20 years ago, it used to be the type of thing that if a principal walked in your room, it better have been quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, if it's quiet, that's a good thing. That means I have control and the kids are learning.
Yes.
Now I tell it's like, if I'm walking in and you're the only one talking, I want to see the kids talking, because there's a difference between productive noise, talking on task, and talking about the new video game that they...
Well, I think they like to be engaged. The kids, they get bored. I mean, I was fortunate enough to work in 5th grade last year. I didn't have a child in the class, but I was a teacher's aide in there. And I'd have to say I learned so much just doing what I had to do for her. But the way she taught the kids, I learned stuff I don't even remember learning. But the way she taught them, and the kids would get engaged and just do their mini drills, and they enjoyed it. Like, I mean, you get the one or two that would complain, but for the most part, they all were listening and excited and wanted to answer the questions. She didn't have to beg for volunteers. Yeah. She almost had okay, I don't need that many volunteers.
Yeah. We have to move on.
Yeah. I appreciate all your comments, but we have to keep going.
Yeah.
So, like...
Well, and that's engagement is... We do a lot of work with we're working on rigor, relevance, and engagement, and kind of goes hand in hand with caring. If you care, kids are going to care about you. Going back to I don't want to disappoint Mr. Walton.
Exactly.
I didn't want to disappoint Dr. Guillaume. If they know you cared, they're going to care about you. And the more engaging a lesson is, the best thing is when you're a teacher and you're doing a lesson and it's recess time and the kids don't know.
Yeah.
The bell, if there was a bell, it rings and they're like, oh, or if there's no bell and recess started 5 minutes ago, but they're so into what they're doing, they don't even care. Or they're like, can we just go through recess?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
huge.
And I've seen that like maybe once or twice volunteering in a classroom.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah. And that's,
I was just like, wow.
but that's an engaging,
Yeah.
that's what can we do to engage them. So
when the teachers have to like, okay, you have to get out. I need 5 minutes.
yeah.
Like that's a good thing when you have to push your
I
students out.
have to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
I need you to go outside.
Please just give me 2.
I just need a little bit of time for myself. No. So no, but this is good stuff. And for anybody listening, I mean, speaking as a principal, but also as a parent.
Yes.
I mean, again, I've got a junior in high school and a 6th grader in middle school right now, and I would concur with everything that you have said. When my kids come home, the classes they do the best in are the ones where the teachers care.
Yep.
It's the one, and the ones, and they know. They'll, Dad, he doesn't really want to be there, Dad. She doesn't really want to be there, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, they will tell me, and they'll throw their they'll throw the teachers under the bus, and I've seen that as low as first grade and kindergarten. They know. So gosh, yeah, it starts with that foundation is caring, because if you don't have that, no matter what kind of lessons and stuff, if you don't have that strong foundation, it's not gonna
start.
It's not gonna work. So ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Totally appreciate this. And for everyone listening, Mom and Dad, thank you very much. Totally appreciate. Yeah. And once again, if you are listening, you've already obviously found this. If you're listening in iTunes and you like what you hear, it would be a big help to do a like and write a review. And one of the reasons for that is not so I can stroke the ego. It's the more that gets, the more people find out about it. And the whole purpose of doing this podcast is to encourage as many people as possible. So the more likes, the more reviews, the more people find out about it. And that is the goal. Again, you can subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. You can subscribe in iTunes or Google Play, or you can find it on the podcast page at brentcoley.com. So ladies, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not just for this, but for everything that you do in terms of PTA and volunteering and just being, you are one of the reasons why this school is as welcoming as it is.
Thanks.
It's not just you guys too. So all right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a good one.